America the. There we go. Magically appeared. All right, you ready, Ross? Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Is that what you're talking about? Sea? Yeah. All right.
Excellent, excellent. All right, if you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Margaret Wallace will have our invocation. You're ready. You're ready.
Aren't we supposed to be? Let us pray. Gracious God, thank you for your many blessings in our lives. Also, thank you for this opportunity to meet as Rotarians. Give us wisdom and guidance in our decisions, not only for our club, but also for ourselves and families. Help us to be charitable, kind, and loving to others, and loyal to our beliefs. And at all times, may we act with integrity. Thank you for this food. Bless it to the nourishment of our bodies. Amen.
All right, now I'll call Jared back up here to introduce guests. If you have a guest, please line up at the microphone to introduce your guest once Jared calls your name. And he is coming. So while we're waiting on Jared, we'll do a history fact check today. So today in history in 1826, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both passed away on the same afternoon, and they were kind of frenemies if you know your history, but they were our second and third presidents. So there's your history lesson today. Come on, Jared. It's what happened.
It's what happened. It's not nice. Yeah. Okay. David Ginsburg has a couple of guests with us.
Please, right. My guests are my grandson, Caleb Joseph. Next week, he will be returning as a junior to the University of Alabama, where you can see he spends his free time with the Formula One race team of the University of Alabama. So Caleb, you could kind of say he's already in the fast lane. And my other guest is my granddaughter, Ivy, and she will be a senior at Magnet High this fall.
All right. And Diane, you have a guest with us today?
Oh, fellas, let her through.
Yeah, my guest is Amy Powers. She wears many, many, many hats for us at Sci-Port, but fund development, marketing, grants, summer camps, you name it, she does it all.
There's one in the back. And Senator Jenkins, you have a guest. Would you like to introduce her now or at during the time? Okay. And we do have some people on Zoom today. We have Don Updegraff, Mark Snow, Olivia Dossett, Susan Saylor Bryant, and Brent Latin.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jared. Okay, we have a couple of fun things today. One is, if I can, I know you don't start eating, Keith. I need you up here. Keith is a little surprised today. That's right. Well, yeah, exactly. With the goat you have to ride is out back once you're. But everybody knows our esteemed superintendent Keith Burton, and he has been a a real participant in the club thus far. I'm so happy that we have our second superintendent that's been such a avid participant in our club. And Keith has taken a real lead in working with Graham with what do you say? Inspire. No, it's Interact. Interact, yeah, Interact, and really getting us back into our high school schools. So with Keith's help, we're really going to get Interact going again. So that's going to be great. So Keith, with that, it's been long enough. You've fulfilled all your requirements. I will give you your blue badge.
Thank
And
Thank you.
would you like to say anything at all?
No, thank you.
Okay,
Other than I will, I guess, sign up a first member right here.
okay, all right.
I think I have my first member of Interact right here at the table.
There she is, right there. Yep. You know, that's a great point. Ivy will get on that. Yeah. Ivy, stay after. We'll talk to you. Okay. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce a former member that I twisted his arm and kind of broke his neck to join again. And he's actually very happy about it. And his wife is very happy as well. Havard, would you come on up here? I introduce Havard Yerger. Havard, I've known Havard since we were in the 3rd or 4th grade. It's been a long time. He doesn't want to admit that, but it's been, it's been a long time. But Havard is a great guy. Havard is married to Laura Yerger. Havard did his undergrad at UNC and got a degree in economics and mathematics. He's also went through all the arduous tests and tribulations it takes a decade to become an actuarial fellow. So I think I said this the first time I introduced Havard a long time ago. If there's anybody that you want to sit with that will eventually convince you that 2 and 2 does indeed equal 5, this is the guy. I've seen his spreadsheets and they're make my head hurt. But Havard's got a wife. How long have you and Laura been married? 30 what?
31.
31 years. They have 3 wonderful kids. Their oldest, Madison, has her master's in teaching, and she's a teacher in South Carolina. She happens to be my goddaughter. So I have a little place in my heart for Madison, of course. Their second child, Stafford, graduated with his undergrad at College Charleston. He will be attending LSU next month for his PhD in physics. So he will be down there for the next 6 years. And their youngest son, Tripp, is at the college or Colorado State in Colorado, and he'll be going back, which I know Havard's sad about next month. And he'll be back to an empty nest. But no, Havard's a great friend of mine. Done a lot of crazy adventures together. Some we can talk about, some we can't. But I'm really pleased to introduce Havard Yerger as our newest member. You want to say anything?
Looking forward to meeting everybody, and thank y'all for having me.
Okay, moving right along. I'll call up Lawrence to give a Paul Harris Fellow. I know that first step's a doozy.
Before I do, yes, I'm aware that the gates are down, and by the time we leave, they should be up. So just throw that ticket away. I'd like to call Africa Price up. I know she's here. Where did she go? There she is. While she's coming, Africa has been a member of our club for a while. She is currently the Assistant Vice President of Community and Public Affairs with the Oshner System. She was a prior member in 2010, 2013, and life and work and other stuff got in the way and she had to resign, but she missed us so much. She came back in July of 2022 and served as a director in 2023, 2024. And Africa has made the necessary contributions to become a Paul Harris Fellow. So I want to present her with her certificate and her Paul Harris pin. So Africa, here you go. Congratulations on becoming a fellow and joining many of us here. And this will be your pin to wear at your Rotary events.
Congratulations, Africa. Thank you, Lawrence. All right, now on to the program. It's always great when we have a state representative here to tell us what's going on down south of I-10, since we are the stepchildren up here. And I know Senator Jenkins, you make sure we're not the stepchildren, so takes our issues down to Baton Rouge and tells them what we need. And that's greatly appreciated. So to introduce, I'd like to call up Lindora Baker, introduce Senator Jenkins.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce my friend first and my state senator, Senator Sam Jenkins. Senator Jenkins was born in Shreveport, Louisiana, to the marriage of the late Reverend Sam L. Jenkins Sr. and the late Annie F. Jenkins. He's a product of the public school system in Caddo Parish, graduated from Byrd High School in 1974. He went on to obtain his undergraduate degree in political science and a law degree from Southern University in Baton Rouge. He served 2 terms as president of the Student Government Association while attending Southern University. He presently has a private law practice concentrating in civil and criminal litigation. Despite the demands of his profession, Senator Jenkins has a long record of civic and community involvement. He founded the Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship Foundation, which sponsors an annual Observance Day program and awards financial assistance to deserving students. He was the former chairman of the Board of Directors for Legal Services of North Louisiana, which provides legal assistance to 26 parishes across North Louisiana. He has held local, state, and regional offices for Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. He is a former member of the Caddo Parish Commission, where he and I both served at the same time, which is the governing authority for Caddo Parish, having to represent District 5. He's a former member of the Shreveport City Council, representing District G, and he was a past chairman of the Shreveport City Council. He served as state representative for District 2 and as chairman of the House Democratic Caucus. Presently, Senator Jenkins is the state senator for District 39. His committee assignments include vice chairman of Revenue and Fiscal Affairs, Senate and Government Affairs, Judiciary A, Natural Resources, and the Joint Committee on Capital Outlay. Senator Jenkins is married to the late Cynthia Hightower Jenkins. They are the parents of 2 children, Atari and Anana. He serves also on the deacon board at Baptist Bible Fellowship. I introduce to you and greet and also present to you State Senator Sam Jenkins.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. First of all, do not allow this notebook to alarm you. I brought the short version of my presentation today. I was told I'm on something of a limited schedule. Look, I know and I realize that many of you cannot come to Baton Rouge and be there on a daily basis to see what we do. I assure you, I'm there every day, and sometimes I'm not sure what we're doing. But I feel an obligation to come back and talk to as many groups and organizations as I can to update you on legislation and projects that impact our area. As we gather here today, I want to first thank President David, as well as Ms. Charlotta and my good friend Lindora for the invitation to be here today. I have with me my legislative assistant, Veronica, who will be helping with the visual aspects of what we're doing and what we're presenting to you today. I'm honored to share an update from the recent 2025 Louisiana legislative session. There were many profound implications for our beloved Shreveport and Northwest Louisiana. Just as the Rotary Club, your organization,
here in Shreveport has consistently demonstrated its commitment to improving our community through impactful initiatives and fostering goodwill. I, along with my legislative colleagues, have been diligently working to shape the future of our state. The 2025 legislative session finalized a $47.9 billion state budget for fiscal year 2025 through 2026. This includes a $12.3 billion state general fund. It's important to note that a significant portion of our state budget, $23.7 billion, more than half of the budget, comes from federal funds. So you know that's why we're keeping a close eye on movements that are being made in Washington, D.C. These federal funds that come down to our state help to support critical services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. I want to go into a couple of impactful legislative moves that we made, and then we'll talk about some of the projects for our area. We want Shreveport to be known as Hollywood of the South. And a part of that is the film tax credit. Effective July 1, 2025, the motion picture production tax credit, which we fondly call the film tax credit, is going to offer up to 40% credit with a $125 million annual cap. There'll be no new applications, but existing projects can continue through the year 2030. We created in Louisiana Economic Development the Office of Entertainment Industry Development to oversee this film tax program. We want to make sure that we invest in wisely, and we also want to make sure that we are keeping up with the economic impact any investments are made. Presently, the medical industry, gaming industry, and government are our leading economic drivers for this area. So we must diversify, and we do feel like the film industry presents an avenue for us to diversify our economy here in the Shreveport area, especially with the fact that we have G-Unit Studios that are planning to come into here and put in a major production hub. It provides a stable framework for attracting film and television projects, and also will help to diversify our job market. There's a big announcement coming soon that will be involving G-Unit. A lot of it would impact where we are right here downtown. I cannot go into a lot of the details because I'm under non-disclosure, but I do feel like there will be a big announcement coming soon, and you'll be getting more information about G-Unit Studios and the benefits that it may bring here to our Shreveport area. Back to school is around the corner. Our children will be going back to school. Prior to session, there was a lot of concern about the use of speed cameras that get your license plate. By the time you make it home, you got a citation, you got a ticket. You really don't know where it came from because no police officer ever pulled you over and gave you that ticket. Look, there was a balancing that we was trying to do between the motorist complaints about speed cameras and the revenue that many municipalities were receiving from it. So there were some changes made. As of August 1st, 2025, these speed cameras are only going to be restricted to school zones. And if you've been driving around town, you'll see there's some clearly delineated areas, yellow lines that you'll see across the roadways to let you know that this is a school zone. Some will even add some signs to let you know you're coming to an area where a speed camera will be available to make sure that we're monitoring traffic in that area. Violations will not incur criminal fines. There will be citations, but no criminal fines. And there will be no negative reporting on your credit record if you receive a citation in a school zone. We also make it much easier. We put in place much easier mechanism to allow vehicle owners who are not the drivers to be able to challenge the tickets or the citation they receive from a speed camera. So we wanted to make sure that we had some balance, that we had some fairness with it. It's only going to be in school zones. It will not be around the city which was initially being proposed. That's a major change. The legislature also took a very sharp interest in notaries. I said notaries, not Rotarians, notary publics. In Louisiana, notary publics have very broad powers. In fact, they need Senate confirmation. They draw up documents with a lot of legal significance. The problem arises when these documents are done incorrectly. There could be some severe legal consequences if a will or a power of attorney or a deed that's transferring property is done in an incorrect manner. This is what began to draw the attention of the legislature. There was a bill, House Bill 259, which is now Act 258. This bill significantly increases the required bond amount for notary publics from $10,000 to $50,000. It eliminates the option for notaries to carry errors and omission insurance in lieu of the bond. All notaries will now be required to post a $50,000 bond. The act also clarifies that bonds signed by a surety company authorized to do business in Louisiana do not need to be recorded with or approved by the clerk of court, but must be filed with the Secretary of State. This is going to be effective the effective date is going to be February the 1st, 2026. This change, increasing the bond, aims to provide greater protection for the public by increasing the financial assurance available in cases of notary errors or misconduct. It underscores the importance and the responsibility of the notary profession and provides additional security for citizens engaging in notarized transactions. I'm sure 99.9% of our notaries take that duties seriously, and they want to make sure that the documents that they pass is done correct. I am in the legal profession, and I can tell you, time in and time again, how many times, and I see one of the former judges sitting here, Judge Bryson, good to see you today. Time in and time out, when those documents are not correct and you cannot move forward with it, there's very little recourse for the individuals who are hurt by it. And that's why I supported this bill. I think there has to be some recourse if the public is hurt by instruments that have not been done with the correct legal effect. That's the important part about that. Urban revitalization. Now they tell me one who does not toot his own horn may not be heard. So I want to toot my horn just a little bit. We have a bill here that deals with blighted property. Blighted property is becoming a nationwide concern. You have many states that are now passing legislation to enact and to empower local governments, parishes and municipalities to be able to put together what's called land bank authorities. I'm happy to say that I was able to usher through a bill to establish a Louisiana Land Bank Authority. It creates a comprehensive framework for local governments, municipalities, and parishes to establish land bank authorities. These will be quasi-public, nonprofit entities. The primary purpose is to combat urban blight and its associated issues, such as high unemployment, substandard and deteriorated structures, and elevated crime rates by strategically acquiring and redeveloping abandoned, tax delinquent, or dilapidated properties. Now, here's how this helps Shreveport and Caddo in our area. First of all, it eliminates blight. Land banks can acquire properties that are eyesores, fire hazards, or magnets for criminal activity, and either demolish unsafe structures or rehabilitate, salvageable ones. This directly improves neighborhood aesthetics and public safety. Secondly, it increases property values. By addressing blighted properties, land banks can help stabilize and even increase property values in surrounding areas, benefiting existing homeowners and attracting new investments. It boosts economic development. Land banks can assemble fragmented parcels of land, making them more attractive for larger scale redevelopment projects, whether for new business, affordable housing, or community facilities. This directly contributes to job creation and a stronger tax base. Land banks return property to productive use. Land banks can clear clouded titles and outstanding tax liens, removing significant barriers that prevent these properties from being redeveloped in the private market. They can sell or lease these properties to responsible owners who will put them back on the tax rolls. Land banks support community-driven development. Land banks can work closely with neighborhood groups and community stakeholders to ensure that redevelopment efforts align with specific needs and visions of each area, promoting truly sustainable revitalization. Land banks also reduce city costs. By taking ownership of abandoned properties, land banks can manage maintenance, secure, and ultimately return to productive use, reducing long-term costs that blighted properties impose on city services. This act gives cities like Shreveport and Caddo Parish new mechanisms to address chronic disinvestment in certain areas and foster a more vibrant, prosperous, and safer community for all. And I think we all can take pride in the fact that our local Caddo Parish Commission led the legislative effort and initiated the idea to create land bank authority stature here in the state of Louisiana. And I want to commend them for that effort. Blight is a universal problem. If it's not in your neighborhood today, you leave it there long enough, it will show up. And it leads to so many other problems in our communities and our neighborhoods that need to be addressed. I'm hoping that this will be a first step to address this issue. I'm meeting with the Louisiana Police Jury Association. We're putting together a committee now that we have this enabling legislation. We're putting together a committee now to talk about the implementation of it. It's very sweeping, as you just heard me discuss, and I think it could do some good, but we need to make sure that it's done in a correct manner. Another reason why I think transformative ideas such as land banks are becoming more significant is because of the changes that are going to take place with tax sale laws. There are changes coming effective January 1st, 2026. We are going to be moving from tax sale titles to tax sale liens. Those persons who have been interested in investing in tax sale property, basically where you could go in pennies on a dollar and acquire significant equity in a property if it's not redeemed, that is about to change in the state of Louisiana. And many other states are changing it also. What is about to happen now, if you purchase property at tax sale, you're going to get what's called a tax sale lien against that property. You would not get straight up ownership of it after the redemption period. Basically what will happen, you can enforce that lien, but you will end up having to purchase that property at some fair market value. That is a significant change in what we are accustomed to. One of the reasons I'm concerned, and one of the reasons we are moving forward with the Land Bank Authority Act, is because property that's not purchased at tax sale is adjudicated to a city or a parish. And guess who has to take care of that property when it's adjudicated? Your tax dollar and my tax dollar. Because somebody's got to do the upkeep. They have to keep the grass cut. When the neighbors start complaining, you got to board up those properties. You got to maintain those properties. What we're about to do now is see an increase in city and parish adjudicated property inventories. We must have a mechanism to move that property along, hopefully get it back into commerce. So that's going to be a significant difference in what we are used to when it comes to purchasing property at tax sales. Keep an eye on that space. I think more will be coming. There were some budgetary and policy considerations. You know, Caddo and the Soda parishes, we produce a lot of the severance tax revenue that goes to the state of Louisiana. Our efforts to try to get a significant portion of that money to come back to our area has proven to be quite futile. Once again, Bills were brought to try to bring more of that income back into our area, but those bills did not make it out of committee. So as we stand here today, there are no major changes that was enacted to the severance tax to bring more income back to this area. You know, I'm very concerned about that because when you look at Caddo, you look at DeSoto, we give a significant amount of that money that goes to the state and is spread throughout the state as a part of the state budget. But very little of it comes back to our area. I want to commit to you that we will continue to work to try to find something more fair and more balanced with severance tax income and to make sure that some of that money comes back to our area to address our bridges, our streets and our roadways and our infrastructure. We will continue that effort. I talked a little bit earlier about some of the federal concerns, and I'm not here today to make any kind of political statements at all. This is all about numbers and it's about understanding that when we began to lose federal funding, it has a ripple effect. So we continue to keep a close eye on this down in Baton Rouge. My colleagues have voiced significant concerns over potential federal cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. We are so concerned that we sent in a bipartisan resolution to Congress not to make any cuts to Medicaid and any cuts to SNAP benefits. Proposed federal reductions could lead to a multi-billion-dollar loss for Louisiana. And that's the truth. If anyone is telling you anything otherwise, check the numbers for yourself. I just talked a little bit earlier about how much of our budget is based upon federal funding and federal revenue. In Louisiana, 18% of our population is dependent upon SNAP benefits. 18% of the population is dependent upon SNAP benefits. And this is not just necessarily talking about those vulnerable populations that are affected by this. We are talking about our economy. SNAP benefits are just like money. When individuals go into those stores, those mom and pop stores or the big chain stores and spend money or spend those SNAP benefits, that helps our economy. So there's an economic consideration that we need to always think about when we have reductions in federal funding. Cuts to Medicaid, drawbacks on Medicaid affects healthcare in this state. We have over 1.6 million individuals that can be affected by severe cuts to the Medicaid program. We need to keep that in mind. Who's going to take care of these individuals if there are rollbacks to Medicaid? Rural hospitals should really be alarmed because their numbers and their income based upon Medicaid payments are much higher than some of your local urban hospitals. We need to be concerned about that. I'm simply saying this to all of us in this room. When we start talking about cuts to federal funding, is not a political issue. It's an economic issue for us here in the state of Louisiana. And we must realize we're all in this together. We're all in it together. Teacher pay, a more lighthearted subject. We'll talk about that a little bit. A significant commitment was made to support our teachers. In 2025-2026, our state budget included $2,000 pay raises for certified teachers, $1,000 raises for support staff. This was a continuation of the stipends that we did. We are contemplating a permanent pay raise for teachers of $2,250 and for staff of $1,125. This is being proposed for fiscal year 2026-2027. Now, this is going to be contingent upon a vote of the people, vote by you, a vote at the ballot box, because it's going to be a constitutional amendment that will need to be passed in April of 2026 to restructure some of our education trust funds in order to have the money to make these permanent teacher raises. This could be a very crucial investment in the future of our children and our community. Please note in April that you will be voting on some constitutional amendments, and that will be one of them. Once again, tooting my own horn, I want to talk a little bit about this municipal privilege for unpaid utility fees. Here in our area, there was a lot of media coverage about the displacement of tenants and apartments because utilities was being shut off, primarily water and sewer utilities. And that was a big concern. And the city of Shreveport reached out to me and wanted me to come up with some kind of legislation that could protect, one, the revenue that they needed to receive from these properties. And then secondly, hopefully to avoid the fact that they would have to shut off water and sewer to these apartment complexes and displace people. And that's how we came up with this municipal privilege for unpaid utility fees. It's basically a lien against the real estate of the apartment complexes. We're not talking about office buildings. We're not talking about individual rental properties. We're talking about multi-unit apartment complexes that operate off what's called a master service agreement is what they operate off of. And so we want to try to make sure that the city will be in a position to collect if they leave these utilities on. So I know we all have been hearing about the displacement of individuals, residents, where they have actually paid the rent, paid as a part of their rent, the money to cover their utilities. This money is not being turned in. And then the next thing they know, they're being displaced because there's no water or sewer coming into the property. We are hoping that this will be a deterrent to that type of a conduct. I think many of our apartment complexes in our city do the right thing, but we have found that some that simply do not. So we just want to make sure that there's some responsibility that's taking place there. And I do want to commend the city because this is not just for the city of Shreveport. Any city, any municipality in the state of Louisiana could use this as a tool to collect. I know you've been hearing a lot about auto insurance and lowering auto insurance rates. There's a lot of disagreement maybe about how we go about doing that. I do think one significant bill was passed that would really significantly, hopefully give us some relief on automobile insurance rates. And that's the bill, HB 148. That's the bill that gives our Commissioner of Insurance power to reject excessive insurance rates. I felt like our commissioner needed that authority. I think if you really want to try to reduce some of these automobile insurance rates, somebody has to be in a regulatory position that could take a look at rates when they're being introduced or produced and try to determine if it's excessive or not. That's very difficult for us to do in the legislature. I also think it's very difficult for the governor to do when we have a person elected to be an insurance commissioner. If we don't want an elected insurance commissioner, let the governor appoint him, and then the governor could be responsible for it. But if you're an elected insurance commissioner, I think you need the authority to regulate the insurance industry. I'm going to see and follow as close as I can the outcome of this authority that we have given to our insurance commissioner. And hopefully we'll all see some lower insurance premiums when we are paying for our automobile insurance. Another issue that came before the legislature is the inventory tax status. It's still a mixed bag. It's pretty much a local option that's being available now. I'm sure most of you understand what the inventory tax is all about. There is a effort to eliminate the inventory tax. And that was the effort to try to do it in a constitutional amendment the last time we went to vote. None of those constitutional amendments made it through. Once again, we did pass a bill, House Bill 366. It does not eliminate the inventory tax statewide, but it does give every local jurisdiction an option. So let's say if Caddo wanted to immediately eliminate the inventory tax, the state would pay 3 times the 2026 inventory tax collection to Caddo up to $15 million, as if they wanted to completely eliminate it. If they want to phase it out over a period of time, which is a maximum of 5 years, to phase it out, the state would pay the 2026 collection for over that period of time up to $10 million. So it's basically a local option that's available. I guess we'll see how that works, who's gonna go in and who's gonna stay out. I want to talk a little bit more about that budget that we started out with. HB1, that's what we call the state appropriations bill, okay? The four largest allocations that came out of HB1 are as follows. You have the Department of Health that received $23 billion, with $16.4 billion being in federal funds. The Department of Education received $6.5 billion, mostly state general funds. Multiple executive agencies received $5.3 billion, primarily federal funds for disaster relief. And higher education received $3.5 billion. We did use some of the rainy day money, which is the Revenue Stabilization Fund. For roads and bridges, we've set aside $699 million. Economic development, we've set aside $283.7 million. For our water sector program, which I think is very, very important to many of our towns and villages in the northern part of this parish, we set aside $75 million. And for criminal justice and our first responder needs, we set aside $21.9 million. Those are some of the top funding set-asides that you'll find in the budget. I mentioned that you have constitutional amendments that are coming up in 2026. There's going to be 6 amendments. One of them is going to be raising judicial retirement age from 70 to 75. And I was telling my good friend Judge Bryson, I still don't think you make the cut, okay? We're going to be allowing legislative reclassification for civil service positions. Please take a good look at that one. We have civil service in place for a reason. It's to keep politics out of employment and the performance of public employees. Take a deep dive in that one before you vote. We're going to be granting parish level funding authority to the St. George Community School System. Most of you may know about the St. George that annexed itself pretty much out of Baton Rouge. So what they're trying to do now is set their own school system. There'll be an amendment permitting parishes to reduce exempted business inventory tax. I talked about that one a few moments ago. There'll be an amendment to redirect specific education funds to the teachers' retirement system. I talked about that one a few minutes ago. Then there'll be an amendment to increase the property tax freeze program, the income limit on it, not the amount of the tax itself, but the income limit. I think it's going to go from $100,000 to $150,000. So you have 6 amendments that you'll be voting on in April. Please take your time, take a look at those amendments. When you changing our Constitution is not easy. And once you make that change, you're stuck with it for a pretty good period of time. Now, I'm gonna wrap it up before somebody come here and ring this bell. Talking a little bit about some specific projects here in our area. I hope this will be good news to you. I think we did very, very well in the legislature to bring back some good projects for this area. And I'm happy to have been a part of a couple of them. One of them is at the Shreveport Regional Airport. They're going to receive $55 million, $5 million cash from capital outlay for expansion and improvements for SkyWest that's going to be coming in. They're going to be setting up a maintenance hub in here in our airport. It should create about 150 jobs. I think this is good news for our economy. Another one is with the city of Shreveport. We have appropriated $3.5 million in capital outlay. The city is matching it with another $3.5 million to open the Linwood Bridge. It's been closed long enough. We need to get that bridge open. Another significant appropriation of $500,000 was allocated for the Boxdale Defenders Liberty Show, as well as $300,000 for our Louisiana State Fair. We are about to resume construction on our state office building here downtown. There was a little bit of a setback, but I think we have all that out the way now. So you should be seeing some activity there the early part of next month. I think it's going to bring a lot of foot traffic back into our downtown core. All of our local college campuses, SUSLA, LSUS, Medical School, Northwestern, Louisiana, Technical College, BIPSI, all of these schools receive some significant funding for buildings, classrooms, and security needs. So in conclusion, I do believe the 2025 Louisiana Legislative Session brought forth some significant and notable changes, both by way of legislation and projects. This was a collaborative effort. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be one of your senators from this area. I love serving in the legislature. I hope that we will continue to work together, both in Baton Rouge to bring resources back here, along with those of you in significant organizations like this, to bring that change that we are looking for in Shreveport, and that's the betterment of our community. Thank you. God bless you. May God continue to bless the great state of Louisiana.
Senator Jenkins, hi. Thank you so much for coming to speak to our Rotary Club today. Of course, I'm Kristen Gary Powers. I'm the Executive Director of the Art Caddo Bossier. And standing with me, of course, you know Lori Boswell, CEO of Holy Angels, who I worked with for almost 6 years at Holy Angels. And Lori is a past president of the Community Provider Association of Louisiana, and I am currently the Secretary of the Board for the Community Provider Association of Louisiana, which Holy Angels and the Art Caddo Bossier are both members of. And we just want to stand together and say thank you, thank you, thank you. You have been so incredibly supportive of our services, our intermediate care facilities for people with developmental disabilities, our home and community-based services, our day program services, the autism services that we provide, all of those things that we do as a collaborative organization. We just are so grateful. You are our biggest fan when it comes to showing up for events, sending Mr. Williams and your team. I mean, you can count on you guys to show up when we come down to Baton Rouge. You're one of the first smiling faces to greet us on the Senate side, and before that on the House side. And we're just so grateful for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. And I believe that our Community Provider Association of Louisiana reports that we actually represent over 10,000 individuals with disabilities statewide.
Exactly,
We
exactly. Look,
appreciate you so much.
and we certainly appreciate the work that you're doing. I'm happy to be a supporter of it, and just know that you can depend on me for future support. I'll take as many of those questions as you have.
I will just add, you know, when he mentions that federal match money that's coming into our state, that is supporting not only our hospital systems, but organizations like Lori's and mine. The Art Caddo Bossier and Holy Angels depend on those FMAP funds. If you don't know what the FMAP is, please look it up, because it is an important match to those state dollars that combine to support the people with disabilities that we serve. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the work
Thank
you're
you.
doing with our disability community.
Hey, Sam, I want to thank you on one side of this thing, where we went from a $50 billion budget a year down to 47. We're on the right track there.
Right.
And with the federal government being absolutely broke and spending things they don't have on things we don't need, we just need to continue that process. But the one thing I want to talk about is on the property taxes, and the question I have. Every time we vote that lever in the property tax, we voted way more. We cannot own property in the state of Louisiana. It's illegal. We voted it away. So with that, you know, every time we do something that affects property or property standards or property issues, each thing adds to the cost of rent. And I have rental properties.
Okay.
And I've had to raise the rents because of programs and events that have happened in the state and local government. And I hate raising rents because
So let me respond to that. One of the reasons we're looking at the land banks is to find a way to get properties that are adjudicated. These are properties that nobody is wanting to purchase at a tax sale. So the inventory amongst our cities and our parishes continue to grow. Taxpayer dollars continue to go towards just maintaining those properties that are really owned by nobody. Titles cannot be cleared. Nothing is going there to help with housing or commercial developments. So the idea here now is, one, with the land bank now, is to find a way to cut down on the inventory that is going to have to be maintained by cities and parishes. Now, the other part of it, with the changes to the property tax sale laws, okay, that could be concerning to some who invest in tax sale properties. But many states are beginning to take on the notion that people should not lose their property pennies on the dollar if indeed those owners can be found, they can be located, and could be paid. I think that is the notion behind all of that. So that change has taken place I wanted to make sure people knew it because I know some people basically have built pretty significant businesses of purchasing tax sale property, flipping those properties and getting them back on the market. This is going to be a big change coming up in 2026.
Good business anyway.
Senator Jenkins, I just wanted to make a public thank you for all that you have done to support Cyport. For those of you who don't know, he got us $120,000 last year and $200,000 this year. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, so Senator, thank you very much. I will say it's, oh, I'm sorry, Jeb, go ahead. We have time for one more. Sorry.
I appreciate what you do. It's a hard job and you're making progress. I noticed the car insurance, truck insurance wasn't on the list of accomplishments other than giving the commissioner, what. As a business owner who has trucks and trailers on the street and as you know, costs keep going up for that insurance. And then we see cases that are settled. I had one where this person, wasn't even working for me, worked for me for 3 months, had a wreck and was awarded insurance money because of the legalities of it. What can be done on that end to change some of the problems and get Louisiana out of the highest,
But I mean, you had a package of 6 bills that was passed and signed by the governor aimed at changing the court system or reducing awards to injury victims. I'd be honest with you, I don't know if taking away the rights of individuals who have been injured in an accident through no fault of their own is the best way to lower insurance rates. But there were a package of bills that did make it through that many feel will have an effect on lowering insurance rates. That remains to be seen. It's about 6 bills that's out there, along with the bill that I talked about. And so this is going to be a work in progress, basically. We'll just have to see if we see the needle moves downward on insurance premiums when these laws go into effect.
Okay, fair enough. We appreciate your help.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, well, Senator Jenkins, my hand. It's really refreshing to have the senator come up here and actually speak on things that are going on. It's fantastic. So on behalf of the club, I'll give you this power bank. So when you're there in the long, arduous sessions, you can charge your phone or whatever you need. So thank you very much for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, the gate is still down. They're having issues. What we suggest is when you go up there, push the intercom telling me with Rotary if the gate is down and they will lift it up. Do not pay. If you're in a large truck, just go through there and we'll all follow. Okay, so we have on the raffle today, the first thing we have is a Rotary match, and I've got ticket number 849. I'm sorry, it's $92.46 for the foundation, 46 for the winner, 849. I won. Oh, wow, that's a first. Okay, so I'll roll it over. Do the younger members, the Red Badgers, understand what roll it over means? Nobody knows? Okay, so what that is, it's going directly to our foundation instead of us, but it goes into your foundation account, so it goes towards your Paul Harris Fellow. So that's another way to contribute to the foundation if you win. All right, second ticket for the flowers from Roseneath is 520. 520. Any takers? Mark? Oh, Doug, you're sleeping. All right. Okay, and the first dozen eggs from Andy Sheehy's Chickens is 821. 821. All right, Mark, you got a dozen eggs. All right, we got a half a dozen eggs at 808. 808. All right, there you go. And then the last half dozen is 794. Ah, Francesca, that's why you need to come more often, Francesca. Come on. All right. So I'd like to thank our money taker, James Adams, Raffle ticket seller Kim Green, as usual. Kim, you're always on the spot. And James, you're a fixture. It's fantastic. AT, where's AT? Oh, he had to get out of here. Okay, well, AT was our greeter scanner. Next week, David Calicod with medical news from Oshner LSU Health will be here. And will you please stand and join me in the five-way test? Of all the things that we think, say, and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And is it fun? Rotary is adjourned.